Thank you, my fellow members of the community and family and friends. Uh, I am very pleased to welcome you this afternoon to the Exchange at Beverly Gray. And it would be quite appropriate to acknowledge and be in a position to call the name of Beverly Gray and to tell those of you, particularly our youth and who have joined us this afternoon, that Beverly Gray and the Exchange here is a place that was established in the community in honor of a great shero in our community. She was the first woman to be ever elected for a citywide office, African American woman in the city of Buffalo. And she used her position as councilperson at large to advocate, to use her voice, to speak truth to the power structures around changes that needed to be made to promote equitability in the areas of economics, social justice, and family and community matters. She has left a legacy. And not only is this building named in her memory and in her honor appropriately, but she was the creator of another institution that is here on Jefferson Avenue, the Apollo Theater. And so we are particularly grateful that we were able to be here today because most of all, we know her as a fighter. She fought for the rights of the most vulnerable. She made sure that they were included in the decision making. And to this day, her open door policy of always being willing to listen and hear the voices of people in the community remains a hallmark of how she is known. So I want to thank the Exchange for welcoming us into the building and allowing us to be in this space. It's quite appropriate. Today, this conference is organized by Push Buffalo and Renewable Heat Now, and we are standing in solidarity with individuals who are allies across the state of New York, some of which are gathered in Albany, for a day of action. This is about action. We are demanding, we are urging the New York legislators that represent our community and communities across this state to pass the New York Home Energy Affordable Transition Act, commonly, and we will refer to it today as HEAT. This is critically important. As we know, the legislative session is drawing to an end, and so the urgency of getting this passed is paramount. It is also critically important because we know that energy is a critical issue across this nation, but in particular in Buffalo, where we have very extreme high poverty rates, third highest in the nation, and the affordability of safe energy, renewable energy, is critical for everyone, particularly our low income and vulnerable populations. We also know that the current administration has not recognized climate change and has not promoted renewable energy sources and has in fact cut programs and dismantled efforts even in our community and initiatives that were funded and approved by Congress in the federal budget, taking them and cut the funding totally off. He is doing that in the current, quote, beautiful budget that's not beautiful but very ugly and will have a dramatic impact on the lives of individuals and families in this community. So I want to step back in my position as one of the founding members of the Black Women's Wellness Center of Buffalo, Village of Buffalo, and share with you that families many times, particularly families in low income, we know spend a disproportionate amount of their resources on energy. And in Buffalo, where we have very long winters, and even long springs at times, including this year, what we know is where higher income persons spend about 2% of their resources on energy, low income families spend 15% of their resources on energy. And so one of the things that the heat legislation will do is cap the amount of resources that a family would spend on energy to 6%, or roughly $75 a month in a family. That can be and is many times the difference between putting food on the table or paying a gas bill. And in fact, we know in this community, one of the leading causes of homelessness is that people don't have heat in their houses.
Yes.
And poor folks live in houses that are not energy efficient. So even trying to keep up with bills and holding in heat so that your family is safe and warm throughout very long winters is something that we should all be concerned about. So we're gathered here today to speak on behalf of all families, but particularly our families, our most vulnerable families, our neighbors in this community. And therefore we are urging, imploring the legislators to pass the heat bill.
No. This message is to the Western New York delegation. Don't act against our most vulnerable community members' best interests. Unpredictable and extreme weather conditions disproportionately impact historically marginalized communities like ours. We are experiencing that in real time as folks struggle each summer to keep cool in the heat of the summer with 80+ degree weather, and every winter struggle to heat their homes in the winter with sub-zero temperatures, as Ms. Brenda mentioned. Who can afford to keep up with the rising costs of utilities? Since 2022, every gas and electric utility in the state has won approval from the New York State Public Service Commission for customer rate hikes. National Fuel Gas, for example, recently won an 18% rate hike in December of 2024. The New York Heat Act would provide the state the tools to guarantee affordable energy bills for low and moderate income households by capping energy costs at 6% of household income. Energy burdened households in Western New York would save so much that you might wonder what could happen with the funds that they save. Our communities are making real life decisions. Yes, putting food on the table, but also in a moment where programs are being dismantled, who's able to afford their medical care? Prescription costs are rising, everything is rising. And this is what folks in our communities have to deal with. We've reached a critical mass. Everyday Buffalonians are struggling in a sea of uncertainty and financial crisis. Each year, New York State lawmakers have an opportunity to get it right and fulfill the Community Leadership and Climate Protection Act that their constituents across the state demanded in 2019. Now is the perfect time for the Western New York delegation to demonstrate courageous and creative leadership and stand with our community right now.
Clyburn.
Thank you very much. I want to take just a few minutes to put this thing in context. The current climate and energy crisis is having a devastating impact on the health of African Americans. If you take a look at the east side of Buffalo, it's crisscrossed with a number of different major thoroughfares. As a consequence, over 75,000 cars, buses, and trucks pass through this community on a daily basis, spewing noise and air pollution into the atmosphere. This problem is worsened because we lack a green infrastructure to cleanse the air. And as a consequence of this, our community turns into a kind of heat island, exaggerating heat in the summer and coldness in the winter. On top of this problem, further amplifying it, is the old age of most of the housing units on Buffalo's east side. I'll give you a specific example that is characteristic of the east side. In the Upper Broadway Fillmore area, the median year that houses were built is 1905. Now we have a saying that when low incomes meet old housing, the result is always toxic. So this is a low-income community. The median household income of renters is about $28,000 a year, and homeowners, it's about $25,000 a year. These older homes, the majority of which were built before 1940, and in the Upper Broadway Fillmore area, the median year built was 1905. Meaning that these units are energy insufficient. Energy insufficient. Many of the houses have what they call tube and knob wiring, which means it is impossible to insulate those units because of the structure of the electrical system. When you combine this with the energy efficient appliances in these places, you're talking about a huge issue. So it's not surprising to us that in this same neighborhood, 56% of the residents are paying more than 50% of their income on housing. And across the east side, a majority of people are paying 35, 40, 45% or greater of their income on housing. The consequence of this are devastating. Anxiety, depression, chronic levels of evictions, while respiratory diseases caused by a combination of indoor and outdoor air pollution is creating hardships that are preventable and unnecessary. We don't even need to be having this debate. Everybody knows what is right and they should act on it.
Black community, and I want to jog your memory, and the statement that I'm going to make is said so casually and with such laissez-faire. I just want to remind you that it was from our ancient wisdom, from our understanding, that we built up ancient Egypt. We built up Kemet, the wonders of the world that modern day man cannot parallel. It was from us and our wisdom of math and sciences, of chemistry, of geometry, of physics, of metaphysics, of trigonometry, of calculus, that was stolen, that was absconded with, and scattered across the nations, scattered across the world. Essentially, we built up this world. We built up this nation, and we damn sure built up Buffalo. So if somebody can explain to me why, wherever we are gathered, we are living in the gutters, and how this has happened for so long. And I understand that it has to do with an inner engineering, if you will. There is emotional, mental, spiritual, and inner workings and shifting that needs to happen. But as that inner shifting is happening, that external shift has to happen congruently with it. We have to shift our powers, our procedures, our policies. The external must shift with the internal. And that's why we are here, friends, neighbors, leaders, not just as residents of Buffalo. We are here as architects of the East Side and of its destiny. We are here to declare a new future for our community, a future that is once again built with our own hands, forged with our own hands, a future that is once again designed by our intellectual design capacity. We are an intellectual people. We are a building people. We declare today a future, once again, of homes that are built to build up our people and uplift our people. Every single last one of us. Again, we are an intellectual people. We are a building kind of people. We built up this world. It is in our veins, it is in our blood, it is in our DNA, and we have got to activate it. For far too long, the narrative of the East Side has been dictated to us by external forces. In distant rooms, decisions have been made that impose impossible and burdening circumstances upon our families. We all have seen the relentless pressures of rising energy costs and how it puts us in a position and forces us to make impossible decisions about our families. We have to decide whether or not we're going to pay a heat bill in winter in Buffalo. You can pick any one of our 6 months of winter. Auntie, why is your oven door open? Don't worry about that, baby. Just walk around it. We are not living in the 1700s around Dutch ovens. It's inhumane. We have all witnessed the quiet crisis of an aging stock of our housing, whereby the air within our homes compromises our health and the health of our precious babies, where you can almost taste the asbestos in the air. You can smell the mildew. It's inhumane. It's inhumane. Let me explain to you that the time for passive acceptance is over. We demand solutions. We demand solutions that reach and touch the root of energy poverty. We demand solutions that give us an opportunity to have our homes be our havens. What a concept. To be at peace in your home, to be safe in your home. We demand these solutions. We demand solutions around affordability. That is the most basic thing in housing, is affordability. Where we live, it's a basic need. We need to have access to it. Our collective unity is a non-negotiable in this matter. It's not negotiable. And a lot of us know that African proverb is so simple, but it's so profound, that sticks bundled together are unbreakable. It's so simple, but it has been the root of every attack, divide and conquer, because we are so powerful together. Okay, individually they can pick us off, they can waylay us, they can delay us, they can challenge us, they can ignore us, they can misunderstand us, but together, our power is unbreakable, it's unshakable, and it's undeniable. My goodness. What a time we are in where we have to do this, where we have to speak like this to you all. Enough is enough. I want to say that, first of all, when Rava says, go and get them, we're going to go and get them. Okay, so I want you all to recognize that this is not just a challenge. This is not a TikTok situation, okay? This is an injustice. It is an insidious, persistent, consistent injustice that continues to undermine our ability to build generational wealth. It continues to undermine our ability to build thriving, vibrant communities with real estate landscapes that we deserve. And I'm not talking about a revolution here, okay? A revolution is something that spins around and you're going to end up right back where you started from. And we appreciate the revolution, you got us here, but I'm talking about an evolution. I'm moving from a 2D access to a 3D. We're evolving the way we see ourselves and the value we have of ourselves. We're evolving the value that we have in our community and how we see our community. And more importantly, we are evolving how we see our value in our community. This is an evolution. Please understand that we see through your superficial gestures. Billion-dollar company with a B and your 2 little, 3 little jobs. Okay? We see through your cosmetic changes. No, we demand real and genuine investment in our communities. And make no mistake, we do understand that enduring, authentic, and lasting real estate development on the East Side is not going to be a hand-me-down. We appreciate the grants. I understand that. Thank you, but it's a start. It's not going to be handed down to us. It is going to be built up by us. We have got to be the tradespeople. We have got to be the contractors. We got to be the engineers, the architects, the environmentalists, the appraisers. We got to be in the banks. We got to be in the legislation. We've done it before. Again, I will harken back. We are a building kind of people. We are an intelligent, intellectual kind of people, and that means that we build smart. We know how to build smart. There's no way that you got every window closed and every door closed in the house and let a breeze come through. It feels like you were outside. We know how to build smart. We demand these solutions. I want to say, and I'll close with this, is that the future of the East Side is not a question for us. It's not the Wild Wild West. Oh, what are we going to do on the East Side? The future of the East Side is a declaration for us. It is a proclamation, a reclamation for us. And I tell you today here, to you here and all the people watching this, is that we will build up the East Side the way we built up the world. With that said, I'd like to turn it over to Reverend Dr. Manjati Baruti of Push Buffalo Climate Change.
I'm Dr. Manjati Baruti. I'm the climate justice organizer at Push Buffalo. That is my job. My vocation is as a priest of the water traditions. I am an earth chaplain. So my job is one thing, but it is interconnected with my vocation as someone who is to protect this planet. And I would do that with every breath in my body. I want to say very clearly that what we are talking about is a moral and practical imperative that we stop wasting public money on fossil fuel infrastructure that is literally killing our communities and our planet. National Fuel Gas and the broader fossil fuel industry continue to profit by locking us into outdated, polluting systems, literally deadly systems that accelerate a climate crisis. They poison our air, our water, and endanger the life on this planet. Their business as usual model directly violates the mandates of New York's Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, or CLCPA. We generically refer to it as the climate law, which requires a just and equitable shift to clean energy. And I want you to think about what would happen to me in my cocoa body if I were to violate the law. If I made it to the police station. If I made it past the damn curb.
Say that.
The New York Heat Act is one of the ways in how we start this shift. It's not just a policy, it's literally a lifeline. It would end the fossil fuel subsidies, reform outdated utility laws, and stop forcing working families and poor families to foot a bill for more pollution. We are paying them to kill us. It would give communities, especially those hit worst and first by environmental harm, the power to shape a clean and renewable future. And I think about this every single morning when I wake up next to my Creole woman who is a victim of several climate crises, including Hurricane Katrina in Louisiana. Every day, the climate crisis is in my house. So it's personal for me. This is more than an economic shift. It is a spiritual and moral turning point. The CLCPA demands that 35 to 40% of climate investments go to disadvantaged communities, Black, brown, indigenous, and working class neighborhoods that have long suffered under the weight of toxic air, unaffordable bills, and systemic lack of investment. It's not disinvested. It's not disinvestment. We were never invested in the first place.
That's right.
If we were even perceived as human at all. But as our sister pointed out, we are the great builders of this planet.
Say that.
For Black households, small business, workers, and contractors, this is a sacred opportunity, not just to survive, but to thrive. We deserve to thrive. We deserve what in essence is a utopic vision of the future. We deserve that. We deserve to live in beauty, to look at beauty, to breathe beauty. For our households, this New York Heat Act honors this mandate that's already been established. Y'all got a law. It aligns us with affordability, equity, and climate justice. This isn't climate change that we're looking at. This is a climate crisis. It's a chaos that we're in. And only by justice and truth and righteousness can it be restored. This is a holy work that we are doing. This is a divine and sacred work that we are doing. So let us be clear. The choice before us is between more delay, destruction, death, or dignity, healing, economic liberation. Between life and profit, between pipelines and people. The time to act on this is to everybody who has the ability to make this thing work. I am saying to you, we are saying to you, it is time to act right now. This dilly-dallying you're doing, we ain't gonna have it. We're not gonna have it. We have to answer this call to courage. We have to build a future where our children inherit breath and not smoke. They inherit flowers and good food and not blizzards, dying in blizzards. This is about safety and not sacrifice, hope and not heat waves and potential death.
Everyone. You know, it's really difficult to follow the incredible power that came before me. And this is the work that they do every single day. We often hear the East Side doesn't have this, the East Side doesn't have that, the East Side doesn't have this. Yet there is a history that is shown, and everybody's spoken about it so eloquently. The East Side has been extracted from. All the resources on the East Side. And now I'm very curious as to why everybody's interested on the East Side when for decades and decades and decades and decades, all you've done is pull away from, you've decimated neighborhoods, incredible opportunities. But all of a sudden now, with this move back to cities, you're interested in the East Side. I wonder why that is. We know the answer. And in spite of all the pain that you've heard, this is a community that is committed to the solutions. And not just the solutions for the East Side. These solutions are for everybody. How I came into this work is literally being a young organizer. And when National Fuel used to be downtown, and on November, folks would be in line in the most undignified way, right? They can cut you off by pushing a button from where they are. But in order to get your heat turned on, which meant you had been without heat since April, you have to stand in the cold. Back then, Buffalo used to get cold then, in line. And we would come with music. And we would come with donuts and hot coffee and hot chocolate and water as I talked to the people and said, why are you here today? How did this happen to you? And you know how heartbreaking it is to see young mothers with 4-month-old babies in the stroller in the cold, living this undignified life? It meant since April they have not had hot water. So since this baby's been born, it doesn't know hot water in its home. I don't know how they were cooking in the home. Yet, this is the only way they can get the heat turned on. They're already in arrears. I can tell you as of April, there are over 1 million people in New York State that currently don't have any heat in their home that got shut off because of their inability to pay for a basic need, heating our very old homes. That is not right. So over the many years, we've learned about National Fuel, and I can tell you, I'm not singling National Fuel out, but they are the utility provider here in our community. They have fought against every solution we've had, including green efficiency upgrades. They said they were weatherizing 20,000 homes. We said, okay, great, well, show us the list, because everybody we talked to in our community, including the houses we live in, have not gotten this weatherization you speak of. And do you know what they did? They sued us. So we sued them back, and we won. And as a result of that $32 million, they had to pay for lying and using the Conservation Incentive Program funds to, market to us what good work they're doing, what a good steward of a business they are, right? And it created the NYSERDA Empower program, which still exists today. And New York State, thank you, continues to pour more money into it because of the need. That is a successful program. it is exhausting to us because we don't have the kinds of resources to constantly go up against a big corporation like National Fuel. Yet we still keep showing up. So in response to not constantly having to do one-offs with them, we met with the entire state, created a coalition. New York News came together in 2016, and 3 years later, we wrote this incredible, beautiful policy, an actual policy that's for the people and for all New Yorkers, called the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. New York State has been backpedaling. A lot of our elected officials, including from the Western New York delegation, who say they support it, have backpedaled on it.
That's right.
But that is the law of the land. They are actually not following the law to implement this. What the New York Heat Act does is it makes that law more real. This now saying all New Yorkers will not pay more than 6% of their household income on an energy bill. By the way, that's the national average. In New York State, that is not the average, right? People are paying between 15 to 40% of their energy bills. Unless, of course, you're some of the highest earners, you're only paying 3%. So don't think because this New York Heat Act will pass that somehow we are getting a subsidy from our most affluent New Yorkers. We are not. They're only paying 3%. It just means that the bottom, the lowest, most vulnerable people who are paying more than 15% now only have to pay 6%. How equitable is that? It doesn't say you're a Republican. It doesn't say you're a Democrat or an independent or what color you are or anything. It just means that all families who are doing their best, working class families, will be able to get an immediate burden lifted. And they can begin to take care of their families like we all want. So we are not knocking that down, right? What we are saying is, as you can see, this is just a small swath of East Side leadership that already have the solutions, that already have the plans, and they are asking our elected officials to come work with us. We don't have to imagine what possible solutions could there be. We already have the plans. We already have the people. And I say to anybody that actually wants to do real development on the East Side, actually bring community benefits, the way to do that is you meet with the people and you get invited. If you are not invited, we know that you are not going to bring benefits to us. And so I ask every Western New York delegation leader to please bring the New York Heat Act to a vote, to the floor for a vote, and vote yes. And if you have any questions about it, please call us. We are happy to go line by line, but what the New York Heat Act will mean for your constituents. Thank you.